Tell your story.
Change the conversation.
Organized by students.
TEDxYouth at SHC.
I need everybody to take a big breath and to really feel it. So breathe in through your nose, really hold it, really notice how it feels in your lungs, and exhale through your mouth. How'd it feel? Good, I hope, because this air is clean. It doesn't hurt our lungs or impair our vision. It just exists, and we take that for granted. In October of 2017, I stepped outside my classroom to see that the sky was a deep orange. I couldn't see the hills that are only a few miles from my school. No, all I could see was orange and ash. The ash was so heavy, so white and prominent in the air as it floated down from the fires up north and settled in the bay, blanketing our homes and coating our lungs. And it was in that moment that I realized that this was not normal. It was not like the day before, when the ash had first arrived, when it lazily drifted into our collective conscience and my English teacher remarked on how it looked like we were in the upside down. But when the sky turned orange and the ash in the air seemed thicker than water, I understood. None of this should be happening, and the devastating fires that for the past 2 years have incinerated California's towns are not naturally occurring. It was as I breathed in what used to be forests, homes, and entire communities that I realized that this was not normal, and I realized that the earth is beginning to change, and it is our fault. I share a name with a boy you probably haven't heard of. His name's Kai, he's 14, and he lived in Redwood Valley. He died in the 2017 Mendocino Lake Complex fires, and his sister died 3 weeks later in the hospital. They had a joint obituary. But his last name was Shepard, Kai Shepard. My last name is Levenson-Cupp, Kai Levenson-Cupp. I'm 16, I live in the Bay Area, and I'm a burn survivor. Unlike Kai Shepard, I survived my burns and have since gone on to become a climate activist, with my burn and Kai Shepard's story driving me. When I was a baby, hot tea fell on me, and I sustained second and third degree burns over 20% of my body. I also inhaled the tea, burning my lungs and trachea and leaving me on life support for 10 days and in the hospital for 3 weeks. Since my burn, I've had a host of respiratory issues, including pneumonia, a respiratory infection, and asthma for over half my life. Because of my burnt, asthmatic lungs, I'm much more sensitive to particulate matter in the air, especially smoke and ash. So when human-caused and climate change-fueled wildfires burn out of control, I develop a hacking cough that shakes my entire body. I cannot go anywhere without a mask, and I often have to miss school to limit my time outside. We are living in a world that is changing, and not for the better. Heat waves are becoming more and more common, with Scientific American stating that 9 of the world's 10 deadliest heat waves have occurred since the year 2000, only 2 years before I was born, and that together, those 9 heat waves have killed over 128,885 people. I find it concerning that I am only 16, yet 9 of the world's deadliest heat waves have either occurred within my lifetime or predated me by only 2 years. In the past century, the global climate has warmed a full degree Celsius, with catastrophic consequences. Warmer air can hold more moisture than colder air, which in turn leads to more extreme weather events. We constantly hear the term 500-year storm thrown around regarding hurricanes, but we don't know what a 500-year storm really means. It doesn't mean that a storm like it only happens once every 500 years, but instead means that the chances of a storm like it happening in any given year is 1 in 500. Since the year 2010, the United States has experienced 24 500-year storms. These storms are only increasing in frequency, intensity, and destruction, and will only get worse if we continue to do nothing. The United States government claims to be doing their best to help victims of hurricanes, wildfires, and other natural disasters, but they are doing nothing but treating symptoms instead of curing the disease. Our government sends aid to victims of natural disasters, but refuses to take considerable action to stop the suffering that climate change will and already has brought on. They say that environmental policy will be too expensive, but if we don't take action now, then we will be cost our future. The combination of health costs from air pollution and economic damages from extreme weather events already total nearly $360 billion per year, and that will quickly become unsustainable. We are being sidetracked by polar bears and plastic straws, and while yes, those are important issues, plastic straws only account for 0.03% of all waste in the ocean, with discarded fishing nets making up a staggering 46% of all ocean waste. We've been focusing on small things when we need to think bigger. Across Europe, hundreds of thousands of students have implemented a school strike for climate to demand action on global environmental change. Led by 16-year-old Greta Thunberg, students have taken to the streets for their future and the future of the planet instead of going to school. Greta started the School Strike for Climate movement, also known as Fridays for Future, when she was only 15, after being told by adult climate activists that a school strike would be ineffective and to focus her efforts elsewhere. Well, she didn't listen to them, and the thousands upon thousands of students who have taken to the streets seem to agree with her. We are expected to sit in classrooms and do our work, but our planet is undergoing drastic changes before our very eyes, and we can't just stare out the window at a changing world. We have to be the change. We have to stand up and make that change a positive one. Every Friday, students across the world have been striking, with the movement only gaining more momentum. Students in 59 countries and in every continent except Antarctica are striking to tell politicians to take our futures seriously and to treat climate change for what it is, a worldwide crisis. We can't be expected to sit idly by when politicians and corporations pickpocket our future for their own financial gain, and so we are standing up to demand a livable world for all. It's come out from the UN that we have 12 years to save our planet. 12 years. The average age of a senator in the United States is 61, meaning that they won't have much life left to live in this new reality of climate change. In 12 years, I will be 28. I will see the effects. You will see the effects. We all will see the effects of climate change, so we have to fight now to make sure that we don't. The state of the union and the state of the earth depends on how we treat these next few critical years. So call your representatives and don't ask, demand that they support the future of our country and the future of our planet and support the Green New Deal, a piece of comprehensive climate legislation that will move America away from coal and fossil fuels, create new jobs in the renewable energy sector, and greatly reduce America's emissions. We need to make climate change an issue for the next election, so make it an issue and talk about it. You don't need to start with something massive. You just need to talk about it and educate yourself on what's going on. Talk about it with your friends, with your families, with your elected officials if you feel so inclined. Just bring it up and start that conversation. We can't let global environmental change be swept under the rug. Our past was spent in blissful ignorance of what we have done to our planet, but now we must grapple with the consequences to our willful mass inaction. We can't keep pushing the responsibility for all these issues to the next generation and the next generation, because we will run out of generations. As it's been said, we are the ones we have been waiting for. We are the people with the responsibility and the capability to stop climate change, save our collective human future, and rescue our planet from irreparable harm. But if we don't take this last opportunity for action, then we will have no more opportunities. I am using the time I've been given to fight for climate justice, and I'm asking you to do so too. We owe it to the future to fight now, so fight with anything and everything you've got. Fight for our children, fight for our grandchildren, fight for our future. Fight for Kai Shepherd, fight for our breath. Thank you.